understand how things are coming together, understand the plumbing, understand the electrical wiring. You need
something about everything.
Yes, so that you don't just say break here.
Said in Italy. Architecture,
interior design. Okay. For a bit, I've also worked in KCCA for a bit.
Yeah.
Learn how to supervise work that is being done on site. Because as the interior designer, you're not done going to lay the tiles, but you need to know how they are laid. The stories I've been telling you in that book there.
Okay, this is the book. Hello everyone, my name is Lamar. Welcome to our podcast. With me is someone very special, Miss Christine Namagulu, the founder of Baraza Design Village. We're going to be talking about design, we're going to talk about creativity, and basically her journey of how she reached here. With that, let's get started. So welcome, Miss Christine. Could you give us a brief origin about how you started with Baraza? Is it something you always wanted to do, or is it something that you came up, that you gained interest in as you were in your field? Because I believe you're an architect, you're an interior designer, furniture designer as well, and you also manufacture furniture. So tell us something about Baraza, especially how you got into it.
Okay, if I was to tell you that story, we might be here all day. But the short version is that Baraza is 5 years old. Yeah, it's about 5 years old in the field of interior design, architecture, and furniture.
Okay.
Furniture manufacturing, design and manufacturing. But my story goes back more than 20-something years. Okay. Yeah. And it goes back all the way to high school when I was an artist. And then, yes, that's what I started with. I was in love with art. Yeah. And then I moved to architecture. I ended up in architecture.
From high school? You did architecture?
At university,
okay.
Yes. I ended up doing architecture. And after a few years working, I progressed.
You progressed.
Yes, I progressed into interiors. Interior design. I studied interior design. So the architecture was a bachelor's, then I mastered in interior design.
Wow.
And I also got very inspired from where I studied. I studied in Italy.
Said in Italy?
Italy,
architecture
Milan,
or interior design?
Interior design.
Okay.
And so, spending a year and something there was really, really inspirational.
Wow.
And that's where I got a lot of the love of furniture. Because before I knew that I like to make things, small things, big things, all kinds of things. Yes, crafting mostly, and just creating things with my hands. Yeah. But I wasn't sure exactly what it was. But when I was studying interior design, we had some course units in furniture. Yes, and so that's how I ended up, gaining the interest. And I actually moved around the city and different towns actually in the country, and I was very, very inspired. One of the firms that inspired me is IKEA.
IKEA.
Yes, I don't know if you've heard of.
Yeah, I've heard of IKEA.
Exactly. So they are like global. They're in many countries, and they do furniture, maybe Scandinavian style, but also pieces that are flexible. Can be used differently in spaces, modular furniture, flexible furniture, and all that. So some of those ideas just excited me, and I said, okay, I think I'm going to try and pursue furniture. It might be, but also I think I liked furniture because it was easy to, not easy. Your vision, you were able to see your vision faster. Yeah. Because if buildings, takes years to see the vision come to fruition. Interiors, maybe months. Architecture years, interiors months, then furniture days. You can see your vision come to pass in days. And so it was so exciting that I'm going to be able to make things that are useful in a short period of time and see them actually in use. So when I came back, and a few years after, because I didn't start right away. A few years after, I said, okay, I think I need to get into this thing.
So did you go straight from architecture to interior design, or you had like a period where you were working maybe for a design firm?
Yes.
And decided to go back? Yes,
I worked many years, or maybe more than 10 years for an engineering firm that had a department of architects, and it was really multidisciplinary. Environmentalists, architects, engineers. We were doing all kinds of things, roads, bridges, buildings. So I was in that firm for more than 10 years. Okay. And then I worked there for a bit. I've also worked in KCCA for a bit. and that was in planning and architecture in KCCA. And then I left and thought I was ready to start my own firm. Yeah, so that was the first time that I started.
Wow.
After having worked for those years, I was like, okay, let me go and try my hand at the things that I studied that I'm still excited about, but I couldn't do in the firm that I had been employed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say you went from interior design to furniture, it sounds easy because you like have passion for it and what, but there are people outside there who are actually struggling to niche down, because someone may say, furniture, there is not that much money on this because you're niching down. Your audience, the audience you're reaching out to, also niches down. So what do you have to say for those who are trying also to niche down and major more in something that they're interested in but are finding it very hard?
Okay, let me say for furniture, interiors and architecture, they are really intertwined. They are connected. Yeah. Like each is like a subset of the other. All buildings will have interior spaces, and all interior spaces will have furniture of some kind. So they are really interconnected. Yeah. So actually, interestingly, it doesn't narrow down. It increases your market space, or it doesn't narrow down, because imagine your one building has perhaps let's say 10 rooms in it. Yeah. So one building can maybe worked on by one architect, but that building has got lots of interior spaces. So that's a whole interior project as well. Yeah. And maybe can be for more than one firm, depending on how big the project is. Then in all those rooms, you will have furniture, right? So furniture is required in each of those rooms. Yeah. So these three are really interconnected. So I was not really, maybe I was just zeroing down, specializing in a particular field, but I was not reducing my market. Actually, I was increasing it, and I found that. For interiors, I'm working with so many architects. Yes, so I actually find that it's easy to get work because I'm already a part of the architectural fraternity. Yeah. And so I've worked with some of the architects, and now some of the architects invite me to work with them on their projects as an interior designer. And all those projects actually need furniture. And most of the projects I've found, we've been importing furniture or, buying imported furniture that's on the market. And so Baraza is also trying to get into the market to be able to supply Ugandan-made furniture. Yeah.
Did you always know, starting out, that you would start up your own farm?
No, not at all. Not at all, and I don't even think I wanted to do that.
You didn't?
No, because there's a very big difference between managing a farm or a business and being a designer.
Yes.
Yes, I enjoy being a designer.
You enjoy being a designer?
Too much. I actually,
way more than running your own farm.
Of course. My goodness, running the farm is hard work. Designing is my daily breath. Like when I'm sleeping, I'm thinking about that unfinished design, that concept we could change to those floor tiles we could actually match like this, and that wall paint we need to mix this and that constantly. As a designer, the passion just keeps you running. As a business owner, you are a lifelong student.
Lifelong student.
Yes, because you start out, and design, it's like it can also be inborn, right? Yeah. But business, I don't know, maybe there are some people who have inborn desire to do business.
They are.
But for me it wasn't that way. And actually my first business failed. Yes, I tried to do a business that does furniture and architecture in 2014, and after about a year it failed, and I had to go back to my previous employer. Yeah. And very humbly ask for my job back. Yeah. So it happens.
What are some of the mistakes you have made in your career that maybe you look back to it and you're like, what? Can't believe I did this. Yeah. Can't believe I did this. What are some of those big mistakes that you could share with us?
Well, one of the mistakes in the beginning, I was the everything of the business. I didn't have a partner. I ran everything. I didn't even know how to do accounts, and then URA came knocking, because when you get paid, that's the the companies withhold tax, and they they report that to URA, and then URA comes knocking and saying, hey guys, why aren't you filing?
So
and
I had no
idea about taxes. I had no idea. All I would do is wake up, come to the office, make sure at the end of the month rent is paid, salaries are paid, and design work is going on. But also because I was alone, I had a team actually. I had a team of young, very excellent designers. Yeah. But they were not my peers, and so I could not hand over some business decisions and roles to them. And then sometimes, like when you're starting out, most of the clients just want to see you as the chief designer. Okay. So you can't delegate the younger people on your team to go to meet clients or to go to sites. So I was running around like a headless chicken.
And every client wants you because you're the face.
Exactly, and you have to go to every site. You have 3 sites to go to. You have to come back and review the work. It was too much. It was too much. I was alone, and it wasn't the right way to do it at all. And I had left before I had learnt a lot about administration and how to run a business and so forth. And so I had to go back to my old boss.
To go back and
say, here I am. I'm back, very humbly to work.
So did you go back to learn about management, business?
Interestingly, yes. When I went back, I was thrust into management at a very high level, which was very helpful because if you're doing the mundane day to day, you want to know how a business is run. So I was in top management team, and I was able to learn a lot. Even at one point, I was even delegated to be the acting MD of the firm that I was working with.
Wow.
And so I learned so much. And I gave it another. I think at that point I had been working there for maybe 6 years. Then I gave it another 4, even more. I think I worked for New Plan for more than maybe like 12 or so years. Yeah.
12 years.
Or more even. I need to count the exact years. There were quite many. And because also I left and came back, so I need to do that math properly. Yeah. But it was quite a number of years.
I know years. It's about 12 years.
Yeah, could be around that. And I really enjoyed working there because the
was
working
that also
environment
furniture? Was it more about furniture or everything in general?
It was the company I told you that was on multidisciplinary with engineers and environmentalists, and we're mostly doing engineering projects, but some of them had architectural elements. I was also trained as a project manager, and then I also got to understand how the business runs. Okay. And I knew that once I get out of there, I cannot start a business on my own. I have to have some type of partners that we can discuss, matters. I can hand over and delegate some matters to them. Yeah, and then of course having someone to deal with accounts. We had to like now our books are in perfect order. Every year we are audited. We are very investor ready. Investor ready. Those are things you learn in the hard way, but I did. And then of course I also attended some business courses. Yes, I attended some business courses, a few of them, and I learned a few things about running a business. They were very short courses, but they were very helpful. Yeah.
And then also there's this talk about interior designers and architects being better than interior designers. Why do you think that people often overlook interior designers and see them as something secondary? I
think maybe because it's not really that they overlook them, it's just that interior design seems always like a subset of architecture. Like, like without a building, you can't really have the interiors, you get it. So most people are always thinking about the building, and then they think about the interiors later. Yeah. And yet, of course, the best way to do it is that the architect and the interior designer and even other professionals start
should be included right from the start.
Yes, right from the start. Because then if you're included right from the start as an interior designer, then your ideas and visions you're able to incorporate them better. Because if you come in later, it's like you're just either firefighting, or you're trying to like you're just trying to see where can we fit this in. Yes. But if you start at the beginning, you're even able to sort of your vision as an interior designer may influence the design of the spaces that maybe
The
instead
structure.
or where spaces are placed, because
instead of having to break down a few walls after the building has been put up, something like that.
Because interior designers also know space planning.
Space planning, as well.
Which is a very key element when you're starting the design of a building. You start from the layout, how are the spaces related to each other and all that, before you even think about what do they look like. And
most people always think designers, it's all about like putting up curtains, putting furniture, carpets and all that stuff, maybe with plants. But I think they're mistaking that with interior decorators. Can you tell us about the difference between an interior decorator and interior designer, so that the viewers can get to know more about that?
I think actually interior decor or styling, you could call it interior styling or interior styling, is also a subset of interior design.
It's a subset.
It's a subset because sometimes you'll get into a space and most of the other elements, the technical elements, are done, which is mostly what the interior designer would do. They'll deal with both the technical elements of a space, like what kind of finishes are they working well for the function of the space. That's not decor. That is really looking at the surfaces of materials technically, or the actual materials. What are they like? If you're designing a medical facility, for example, you're thinking, is this material suitable for this space?
The psychology.
Yes. Or
color.
Exactly. And even just the textures or the types of materials, are they suitable for the kind of cleaning that will take place in that space? So the interior designer is also very technical in the way they practice, and they work a lot with other technical fields, like with mechanical, electrical, mechanical in plumbing and all of that, electrical, sound, ICT, all those, they work together with those, so that the space actually functions, or the building functions. So that's interior designers. Now decorators could come in usually at the tail end to fit in elements that will enhance the space. Let us say elements that will enhance that space, and most of those elements are not structural, they're not even technical at all. Unless of course you're putting some special design on the wall, but rarely are they technical. So that might be the major difference.
And also, starting up your farm is something really difficult, especially when you're trying to reach out to very many people. How can you advise those also starting their farms to like gain credibility and like get to be known, maybe at a faster pace than they are doing right now?
There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut. You have to practice under a seasoned interior designer. You have to practice under a seasoned designer. Why?
Mentorship.
Yes, mentorship. In the days of old apprenticeship. Yes. Apprenticeship is where you actually sit at the feet of this person. You learn their style, their way of creating, what they do. You basically soak in everything, and you're with them, as long as you can to get as much as you can. And I would advise, for, let's say, for architects, before you get at least 2 years before you can get registered. 2 years of working under a registered architect. That's the legally how it is by law, or how the Architects Registration Board has organized it, right? But even those 2 years are not enough for an architect to get to know what they need to do in the field. So I would advise maybe a minimum of 5 years if you want to get out afterwards, to get out on your own and hit the ground running. Because minimum 5 years when you're working
under someone.
Yes, guys, just forget about this
getting out and
it's not. You are trying to become seasoned, and you're trying to become seasoned, and really good gigs are okay. You can get gigs and bring them in and ask your mentor or your trainer or supervisor how you can go about them. And I've worked with many young people that have brought work to the farm, and we have agreed on how to do it. But I of course have to take I have to take them on as if they're mine, because I am responsible. When they come looking for who has messed up, they won't look for you. They will look for the actual professional at that point, right? Because you will say, oh no, I work and another thing is actually we get we take out professional indemnity, which is an insurance for professionals. which protects you, especially for projects like, you could, for the larger projects, because you could make a mistake, and it's an honest mistake, but the client has lost money, and you're supposed to pay it. And so if you don't have professional indemnity, you're going to have to get that out of your own pocket. But if you have that insurance, you can. And you see, some of those things, you will not know them unless you've worked under a registered architect or an interior designer, or a firm that is actually has been running for some years. Then you can also make mistakes in costing. If you don't work under someone, you won't learn how to cost your projects, how to ask, for
where to source from.
Exactly, where to source from, where to get materials and stuff, and all ideas and all that. But also, when you work with someone, you get to inherit their networks. You inherit their networks. So when you get out there, it's easier for you. You don't just start from scratch.
You have where to start from.
You have where to start from. And sometimes you might even be fortunate enough to end up partnering with this person, because we don't all live forever. So we would like to know that we have some sort of succession plan. So if you're working with someone whose philosophy, design philosophy and work ethic you respect, you could find that you could end up working with this person and partnering and co-owning that business. And then, you don't have to go through the struggles of starting from zero. There is no merit in starting from zero. It's not there. Unless, I really feel for young people who get out and immediately start working. They find so many hurdles and struggle through things they wouldn't have otherwise struggled through. So just get some years. And by the way, those 5 years you'll have invested working under a designer will be so good for you, because when you get out there, you will start from a high bar. You'll start from somewhere really good for you, and you won't have to you'll have dodged many potholes and hurdles.
You'll be set apart from those who started from the beginning.
And you'll actually find them who have been in 5 years, and you who has been, you'll overtake them. Of course, it's obvious. Don't ever start alone. Don't start alone. Try and start with someone else. There's so much synergy in partnering.
Partnership.
Yes, partnership. I learned that the hard way. Doing it on your own, there is no merit in that. There's no merit in that. You may think that you go faster, but you will find very many hurdles and roadblocks. But if you're two, imagine the networks of two, efforts of two. It is definitely better. So build relationships while you're in school, so you can find some legit people like you, if you're legit, that you can work with when you get out. Don't start alone. It's a hard road.
Some of the skills you could encourage the young designers to major in right now, something that will help them in the future, something that most of them are not actually going into right now.
Skills, because of course all the design skills you're getting. I would say that every time you have a holiday or a break, or even I think I would encourage the schools, I know some of them are doing it, to do practicals, to be attached to a firm and actually do practicals, and don't expect to be paid. So you're going to school. So while you're in school, go and actually be part of a firm and do practicals.
It's
be
more
on
about
site.
the skills.
Go to site, learn how to source materials, learn how to supervise work that is being done on site, because as the interior designer, you're not the one going to lay the tiles, but you need to know how they are laid. You need to know how paint is applied, how many coats of paint. You need to know all those things, and they should become things off your fingertips. You need to know how, all the ceilings that you will be what's the word? Not prescribing. That you'll have in your designs. All those beautiful things. You need to know how they come about, how they come together. So, if you don't go to the field, if you don't go to site, you will be a paper designer. And that one is only for graphics designers. They're the ones who are allowed to sit at the table and work from the table. You have to be in the field. I think about 60% of your time should be in the field, should be on site.
Wow.
And then 40 is what you spend on the desk and in classroom and whatever. But the other time you should be out there seeing how real things are done, and you learn faster. You learn faster when you're on site.
Are there some degrees that you would recommend for those interested in starting up their own farm? Because you said balancing the books was really difficult. Something dealing with economics, you know.
Of course, I wouldn't know exactly what